Hello everyone, this is Ace the Ocarina Maker, and I'm coming to you with a video that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and that is the Claidheamh Mòr, I think that's how you actually pronounce it, is the Claidheamh Mòr actually as bad of a weapon as people make it out to be? Now, a lot of people have the problem with the Claidheamh Mòr saying that, oh, the Half-Zatoichi can just do the job that the Claidheamh Mòr can do better, there's no need to use the Claidheamh Mòr, where they overlook some of the more unique and helpful stats of the Claydheamh Mòr. The small as they are, they do come in handy with a certain playstyle, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now, the reason so many people immediately dismiss this weapon as being just a garbage weapon is because when the sword is active, it has a minus 15% damage vulnerability. You can, however, switch off of the sword at any time, and the damage vulnerability is instantly gone. There's no cooldown like some other weapons. So let's take a look at the stats. I did a lot of testing with just a stock melee, which can also be considered the Half-Zatoichi. They're pretty much the same there. There's no damage reduction on it. An Eyelander and the Claidheamh Mòr. I went through various tests to see how bad that damage vulnerability actually is, and the results might surprise you a bit. So here I am testing just the regular bottle against point-blank scattergun. I repeated these tests multiple times off camera to make sure that the hits were consistent, and I'll show a bit of that at the end. Now the Eyelander, leaving me with 46 health, and the Claidheamh Mòr, let's see how bad that damage actually is. 55. Now I'm aware the Eyelander takes away 25 health, but 55 is slightly better than the Eyelander, which is not what I expected. Now we're testing the bottle against the grenade launcher, see how much damage that leaves us with, or how much health I mean. 75. The grenade did 100 damage. As it should. As it should. Now, the Eyelander left us with 50 health, as it should as well. So let's see the Claidheamh Mòr. 60. So compare the Claidheamh Mòr here with the bottle. That's an additional 15 damage for every 100 damage dealt, which isn't huge, but it can make a difference. Now the rocket launcher left us with 63 health. For the Eyelander, 38. And the Claidheamh Mòr point-blank rocket launcher, 46. So the Claidheamh Mòr seems to be coming in second place here, which is that's actually pretty good considering its damage vulnerability. Now we're testing against Demo's grenade launcher with the charge and targe, and we're going to be testing multiple hits because it does such little damage with the charge and targe equipped. So, first hit was 105 health left over, second 35. Eyelander, 80 health, and then 10. Now the Claidheamh Mòr, see if it's consistent in the middle. Yeah, 94 and 13. So once you really get down to those smaller numbers, compared to the Eyelander, it's not that big of a difference. 96 against the rocket launcher and 17. Now here's the real test. The Eyelander, 150 health, 71, and dead. Now can the Claidheamh Mòr survive what the Eyelander could not? No. They're actually about even in that attribute. So because of this, I decided to do some long-distance testing. See how many hits I can take before I die. There's 1 at 117, 2 at 84, 3 at 51, and 4 at 18. Now if I took a 5th hit, I would be dead, so I can take 4 long-range shots with the Eyelander. And I'm going to line myself up here again, see if it's consistent numbers, 117, 84, 51, and 18. Now we've got the Claidheamh Mòr with the charge and targe still. 137. I thought I hit the rocket a little off-center, so I'm testing if I got that right. 99. 61, 23. So even at long range, it's not that big of a difference. At best, it's like a 10 health difference. Redoing the tests here. Now I did have the charge and targe equipped for both of these, just so I could see how many hits I can get on myself before I die. Charge and targe has the best resistances. So there you have it. The Claidheamh Mòr is slightly better than an Eyelander with no heads. But what needs to be considered is that the Claidheamh Mòr, its stats seem to be designed to be a hybrid knight weapon instead of full-on demo knight, whereas the Half-Zatoichi kind of punishes you for being a hybrid knight in that you have to get a kill, you have to be completely devoted to that first melee kill, and if they escape your grasp, you're going to punish yourself by taking away 50 health. You have to make a split-second decision. Is it worth losing 50 health to be able to fire grenades? Or should you just not risk it and run away with a sword and hope to pick off a straggler? And I'll tell you this, in competitive, switching to your grenade launcher and sword seamlessly is going to be life-saving. So, the Half-Zatoichi is a much better healing tool, and it can be utilized much better in pubs, but I feel that the Half-Zatoichi is at a crippling disadvantage in competitive. I wouldn't use the Half-Zatoichi with anything other than a tide turn or something that you're guaranteed to get that kill with. Even then, a soldier could knock you off your feet, and then you're in serious trouble. If he knocks you off your feet in the right way and you're under 50 health and you can't switch to your grenade launcher, you're in serious trouble. So I respect both of these weapons in their respective situations. The way I like to use the Claidheamh Mòr best is to lob a grenade or two into an enemy and charge at them quickly, finish them off with the Claidheamh Mòr, and quickly switch out. Never have the Claidheamh Mòr out longer than it needs to be. It gives you a nice little health restore, but it also gives you 25% of your charge back, which depending on the shield that you're using can either help get your charge up much faster, or you can do the classic ping-pong style Demo Knight with the Tide Turner. It's just much more underpowered now because of the nerfs to the Tide Turner and the Claidheamh Mòr together. Now the reason this thing is such an amazing hybrid knight weapon, and I think it's so underrated, is it really shines in competitive more than anywhere else, where you can come out of the gate with no disadvantage. You have the full 175 health while you're lobbing grenades. However, once you get a target opened up or damaged enough, you can charge at them, decapitate them, get a nice little 25 health and 25% of your charge back, and then instantly switch back and start firing more pills. And then by the time you need to charge in again, depending on what shield you're using, and that additional 25% charge on kill, you probably already have a charge ready again. And while you're charging in, you're placing yourself at less of a disadvantage than an Eyelander with no heads, making competitive, areas where you are going to die in a lot, less severe when you lose the heads on your Eyelander, because it's like, oh no, I've been at such a big disadvantage and I need to get 2 heads to at least get back up to regular Demomen, whereas the Claidheamh Mòr, you don't need to worry about that. The only thing you need to worry about is when it's active, which is going to be such a brief window of opportunity that you're not going to go running around with your sword swinging like a madman. Really, it comes down to knowing how and when to use the Claidheamh Mòr over the other swords. There are definitely times to use the Eyelander over the Claidheamh Mòr, and there are definitely times to use the Half-Zatoichi over the Claidheamh Mòr. And you can argue that any time you should use the Scoutman Skullcutter, because that thing is an ungodly, unbalanced, broken weapon, but we're not talking about that. The Claidheamh Mòr has really been shining for me in competitive, and even on offense in some maps where I want to be a hybrid knight, but I don't want the huge disadvantage of, missing health when I come out of spawn. Because of this, I've actually split my Demo Knight into 2 loadouts. My initial loadout being the Bootlegger, the Charge and Targe, and the Eyelander. My classic babies, I love these guys. But in situations where the enemy is a bit more competent, they have sentries, or where we're attacking instead of defending, I am going to be switching to my second loadout, which is the Iron Bomber, the Charge and Targe once again, and the Claidheamh Mòr. I really like the Charge and Targe, helping with the survivability of the 15% damage vulnerability while it's active. And since you can just hold out your grenade launcher and completely negate that damage vulnerability, because that nice little while active thing, you can have yourself at a huge advantage against other explosive classes and pyros, because you're not charging at them with a sword, you're just lobbing bombs at them but happen to have a Charge and Targe on you. Your biggest threat is going to be heavies and scouts, which is why I love being a hybrid knight fighting those classes, because I have a grenade launcher I can use to take care of those. If 3 pills doesn't take care of that heavy, a 4th one will, or I can charge in with the Claidheamh Mòr and get 25 health back and then quickly get out of there. Lastly, I absolutely love a new skill I've been working on, which is Iron Bomber jumping. Because of the shorter fuse time, this becomes a lot more useful to do instead of waiting for your bomb to detonate. You're essentially using the Iron Bomber as a sticky jump. Oh, many times have I jumped with the Iron Bomber and charged at a sniper on the battlements of Two Fort or Double Cross, and they're just like, what the hell? I absolutely love that. It kind of gets rid of the need to trimp off of certain surfaces, because if you time it right, you can trimp off of your own grenade. However, the timing on this would need to be pretty specific, which is why I've been practicing with it so much, because that 15% damage vulnerability does apply when the sword is active, so you need to lay a bomb, crouch jump while you're holding the iron bomber, and then instantly switch to your sword as you charge and it detonates. That way you don't accidentally give yourself extra damage when you're jumping thanks to the Claidheamh Mòr. So it's a skill that could be very useful on even, say, the Half-Zatoichi, because you don't have to worry about that damage vulnerability. But it's something I've been developing for competitive situations and just anything in general. Faster rollouts when you've already utilized your charge on those really long constricted maps. You can essentially rocket jump with it as well. So if I were to say in general, is the Claidheamh Mòr a bad weapon? On its own? Yes. I would call it a bad weapon on its own, especially since they got rid of its one unique attribute of extra charge duration. I'm not sure why they did that. But in terms of Hybrid Knight, which is something I absolutely love doing at least 50% of the time, if not more, I would say that the Claidheamh Mòr is the absolute best candidate for Hybrid Knight. Now that's not a very common playstyle, but it's one I see popping up a bit more here and there, so I don't know, maybe this video has enlightened you. Maybe give that poor little forgotten Claidheamh Mòr at the end of your backpack that you were going to turn into scrap a second chance. See how it works out for you. If not, if it doesn't fit your playstyle, that's fine, but as far as I can see, it seems to be one of the best, if not the best, Hybrid Knight melee. Now this is not taking anything away from the Half-Zatoichi. The Half-Zatoichi is an amazing sword, and overpowered as it was, I do still like it now that they've done the nerfs to it, where you gain 50% of your base health and all that. It's a nice sword. I definitely wouldn't call that one useless either. Well, those are my thoughts on it. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Tell me what sword you prefer to use, what kind of playstyle you use with it, and why. And I will see you all in the next one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and all of you have a great day.